Hello all, I'm Yogesh Singh. Welcome to my YouTube channel Yogi's Data Lab. So today we are going to talk about prompt engineering. So this is a series of a couple of videos going to be in a sequence. Today we are going to understand exactly why prompt engineering matters and why do we really need prompt engineering and why is it important today. So if you see here, if you take two professionals, both the professionals use the same AI tool. Both of them try to get the same output and they write their own prompts. And what is the result? One of them keeps struggling, trying to get the answer, and the other gets the answer quickly. So, what exactly is happening there? Why is the same AI for the same problem statement giving two different results? We're going to look at that. If you look at this, the session that we are creating today, you can be a data analyst or a scientist, engineers, developers, consultants, business professionals, AI practitioners, all of you can go to prompt engineering because today it is becoming a way of doing work. It is a part of our life, and we are going to use this going ahead everywhere gradually. So sooner the better, where we can go ahead and learn the concepts of how to do prompt engineering, because prompt engineering is a method which you use to go ahead and talk to a AI system. How do I go ahead and talk to an AI system? What should I do? What should I type so that the AI gives me the response that I want? Is the entire structure of prompt engineering. So, as I said, what is prompt engineering? It is the skill of writing clear, structured, and effective instructions to get the best possible output in an AI model. Now, from an AI model, an AI model is the same for everyone. You using a chat GPT, me using a chat GPT, or anyone else using a chat GPT, it is the same thing, right? It is the same system. Could be that all three of us are working on the same problem statement. But why are our results different? How do I go ahead and get better results from the same AI? Because it is trained and it is kept somewhere, and we are the ones who are using it, right? So, how do I go ahead and get better results from it? So here, if you look at this, we have prompt, we have engineering, and that together combines to be prompt engineering. So prompt is the text that you type into an AI tool, right? Your question, your request, or instruction, whatever you want to know, is the prompt. What is engineering? That is designing the text deliberately, how you are going to structure it, what should be the context, what is the output of the format that you want. Because most of the times, what we end up doing is just use it like any search engine, and we go ahead and say just write this for me or do this for me. So what happens is it becomes very generic. So you're going to understand the structure, exactly how a prompt should be written, how a context should be set, how you should be expecting an output, and how the results are going to come out. A couple of common questions that I get is it programming? No, it is not programming at all. You can go ahead and use simple English or any other language, and you can try to talk to it. Who can learn it? Anyone. Analysts, engineers, managers, developers, non-tech guys uh, who are not from any technical background, have been core into some other industry, can also use this. How long to learn? Well, that is a tricky question, but the basics are pretty simple. You have to chat. How you have to chat is what we are going to learn here. How you are going to use the prompt is what we are going to learn here. So it will be more of practice. The more you practice it, the more you keep on using it. Eventually, you'll keep on improving on it, and you'll get much better prompting techniques and results sooner. Which AI tools? Well, there are many LLMs out there. The most famous ones that we have is ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, Llama, and a couple of them more. Does the model matter? Well, yeah, it does, but not significantly. Um, the prompt quality is more important because, majorly, if you look at it, the way they are trained are nearly on the same lines. Could be slightly different data on which they're trained on, but eventually, if they're trained on something and the way they are going to respond is going to be very similar. So, more important is how we are extracting that knowledge from them, how we are getting the data out of them is more important rather than which model I'm using. Obviously, with higher versions of the models, things will get better, But as of now, assuming that things are at par, and how do I get a better result is, it is only the prompt engineering which is going to help you to cater to this problem. Okay, now let's look at the second one, which is the business value. Well, the business values, again, this is why people are adopting it gradually. If you look at a very simple task like SQL query, or you talk about Python code, you talk about executive reporting, exploratory data analysis, planning, business analysis. Now, all of this took us plenty of time to do this before. While using prompts, it can happen in a couple of minutes at the max if everything is organized, and you get your results pretty much better, much organized, and in a much structured way. So that saves a lot of time. That helps you to utilize the time in a much better way for your next task. You can speed up your processes. So this adds a lot of business value, exactly how things are growing. Now, let us try to understand what is the core problem over here. So if you look at this, what exactly happens is the context is important. If I don't tell anyone, let's say you're talking to a friend and you don't tell the person what you're talking about, and if you suddenly start talking about any random topic to your friend, will your friend really understand exactly what you're talking? No, the friend don't understand, right? So that's the same exact problem that happens here. You go to a LLM and you expect it to be a genie, and you start typing anything and you expect it to give you the answer. So it doesn't give you any answers which are correct, and then we feel irritated, exactly this is not working out. But there is a structure how we should be talking to it. We might need to give some roles, we might need to set the audience, we might need to tell what it should not do. That also is an important part of it. Apart from that, you should be explicitly setting the goals. When you go ahead and do a couple of things, we'll talk about frameworks in later videos in the series. We'll talk about different frameworks, how to use them, when to use them. uh, Whenever you talk about these basic structures, like the role, the audience setting, then you talk about constraints, you talk about which goals, so what are your goals that you are looking at, things become more clear, and they become a more structured prompt, and the results that you get are much better as compared to what you would have got with a vague prompt which does not set a role, has no audience, has no constraints, and either no goals stated. Now, let's try to see this. This is one common myth which people have had recently, was is AI taking up jobs? Is it really necessary for me to learn? These have been common things. So, if you take an example, when Excel came into the market, it did not replace the accountants, right? So just that people who knew Excel outperformed than those who did not, because they could do it much faster as compared to people who used to do it using the traditional way of calculation or using calculators. Right? It just sped up the process. Now, AI will not replace the professionals even. Professionals who know how to work effectively with AI will outperform those who do not. That is true. If you know how to use this, how to speed up the process, how to go ahead and get your automations done, how to go ahead and get your outputs done much faster as compared to what you were doing traditionally, obviously you will be much ahead of the people who don't use this. Okay? Now, this is the prompt quality ladder, where how it grows. So if you look at this, the very first prompt that we are talking of is a very vague prompt. So it says analyze this data, and you have no context, you have no goal, you have no format. So analyze what? Give you what? What are you expecting? Who is the audience? So you didn't set anything. What I should not do, you didn't set that even. So that's a very vague prompt. But when I talk about analyze Q3 sales data and find trends, so you're setting the goals, though there is no role, no audience, no output yet, but at least you have set something what you want. Right? Then let's talk about context rich. So I am a data analyst presenting to the sales leadership team. So define the role. You are presenting the audience. Who is the audience there? Analyze Q3 sales data. Find top three trends and explain the business impact. So you are giving it a task, what it needs to do, and add role, audience, and purpose. So that is pretty context rich. It sets the complete context. Who is the audience? Who are you? What are you trying to present? What are you trying to get as an output? And that makes it work better. The next one that we are talking of is a structured prompt. So what does a structured prompt do? It adds output format, you put the constraints, you put specific deliverables. Maybe you don't want to go to small nitty gritties in the previous prompt. So you can say that do not give me such and such things in a report. So that is a constraint. You don't want it to do that. I want the output in a tabular form. Give me the output in a table where the columns should be so, so, and so. Draw me a bar chart for this, draw me a pie chart for this. So if you're giving that, what you're doing, you're giving it an output format. What is the type of output you're looking for? What are the constraints you are putting in, and the deliverables that you look for. So that way, the AI will produce a document. The answer that it will produce will be much, much organized and much better for you to use. The next one is iterative prompt chain. Now, what is an iterative prompt chain? So, what is an iteration? An iteration is when you keep on repeating something, right? So, here, when you talk about an iterative prompt chain, what it does is you have a prompt, you get an output, you look at the output, and then you again try to improve the results further by using a second step. So, you are repeating this until you get the best result. So prompt, result, and it is an iteration. And this is why we call it as iterative prompting. So we'll be covering these in detail in the upcoming sessions. But for now, what we are looking at is it is just the prompt quality ladder, where you see that there are just a couple of things which you did from a vague prompt to iterative prompt chain, and you could get much better results. Well, I have been talking about a structured prompt. So, what are the things that you need in a structured prompt? So, when you talk about a structured prompt, there are a couple of things that will require. One is the task. Obviously, you need to tell what you have to do, the context, the role, the constraints, and the output format. So, the task is exactly what you want the AI to do. The context is why are you asking this? What background does AI need to know before it prepares the answer for you? Role is very important. What should the AI behave? Do you want it to behave like a quality analyst? Do you want to behave it like a sales director? Do you want to behave it like a marketing executive? So, of what experience? So, you're setting a role for your AI system to basically decide how it is going to behave, understand the context on those lines, and then perform a task. But you also put some guardrails. What are the guardrails? You are putting the limits, and you are also suggesting certain answers. So the most important thing that we are looking at here is first is the role. So it sets the expertise level, tone, depth, and the domain calibration. This is very important. Say, for example, you can say act as a senior business analyst with 10 years of B2B sales analytics experience. So it will understand exactly what profile it has to be in. Then you are setting a context that I am presenting to the VP of sales after Q3. The data set that you have is the region, product, revenue, and returns. So it knows what is the data, who is your audience. So you have set the context. What is the task? Identify growth opportunities and revenue risk in this sales data set. But you don't want it to be pages long, right? You want it to be pretty crisp. So you said it that you put a constraint that it should be maximum 400 words. It should be an executive tone. Avoid jargon and focus only on the Q3 data. So you have told it exactly and precisely what you need. You're constraining it, you're setting the audience, you're telling what its role is, and you're asking the question. Now, one thing is left, which is the output format. So you're saying that you need an executive summary in 2 sentences, 4 findings as bullets, 3 as recommended actions. So pretty precise to the point what you want as an output and how you should be using it. So if you look at this, this is how your full structured prompt will become. Act as a senior business analyst with B2B sales. This is just one example where you're looking at the role. I am presenting a Q3 performance findings to the VP of sales next week. The dataset columns you are using is these, so you're setting the context. Analyze these quarterly sales dataset. That's your task. Focus only on Q3. Executive tone, max 400 words. Avoid statistical jargon. That's your constraints. And then the output format that you're looking for is two sentence executive summary, then four key findings as bullets, and then three recommended actions with business rationale. So that's our output format. So this is just combining these how we are looking at it. Most of us, when we start, what do we do? This is the data set, look at it, and I am supposed to prepare a presentation and give me an executive summary for this data. Now, if I go ahead and do this, that's pretty weak as compared to what we just discussed. So you can imagine the type of result you are going to get, who is going to get a much better result, and what would be the precision of the results that you are getting. Because you told it the columns that it has to concentrate, you told it the audience whom you are presenting, you told it the role that it has to play, you gave it the task, you gave it the output format, and most importantly, you set the guardrail what it should not do, right? Now, let's look at this. So if you look at this, we'll see how output quality transforms as each ingredient is added. Which we are going to do this as a live stuff, and we are going to see exactly how this works. Okay, now I do have some data, and what I'll do is I'll take it to Gemini, and we'll do a live comparison of how we should be writing the structures. So the prompts. So I'll be writing these prompts. I'll just copy pasting these prompts, and I'll show you exactly how this works. So let's go ahead and put it here. So this is the data. Uh, See the data as sales data in memory, and we will go ahead with further prompts. So let's see what it does. Got it. So I have stored Q2 and Q3 sales data in the memory. Now let's go ahead and try copying this. So I go ahead and give a very generic prompt like analyze the sales data set. Let's see what is the result. Okay, and what did it do? That's the sales data. I put it in a CSV format. Okay, and this is the data result that I'm getting. Okay, discount by product. You're getting a good graph. Discount percentage, and this is the return rate percentage. hmm Region versus revenue, product versus revenue. Nicely done. Pretty much, I got a detailed insight here. Okay, let's try something else. I am going to ask it to identify trends. Okay, so the regional strategic profiles. I got a product tier hierarchy. I got a steady quarter over quarter core growth, the direct correlation between discounts and returns, which was not there, right? It was pretty generic. If you look at this, it went ahead with a few charts, high levels performance summary, quarterly performance breakdown, regional performance analysis. So basic EDA type of job was done. It did not give you a lot of details there. Some key recommendations like review East region promotional strategies, investigate tablet and printer return reasons, and so on. But when you go ahead and give it this way to identify trends, it's directly going ahead and looking at some proper business oriented goals, what you should be looking at. Wow, let's go ahead. So I'll add all of them together. So what I'm putting is this one: act as a senior business analyst. I am presenting Q3 performance findings to the VP of sales next week. Then you're setting the data set is this, you're setting the context, analyze this quarterly sales data set, focus only on Q3, max 400 reverse. The same thing that we read before. I'm just copying it here, pasting it. I'll remove this. Don't want to go ahead and get this, that it will understand. So let's remove the class. Let's remove the context. And let's run this. Let's see what you get. Okay, so this is Q3 performance briefing. What are the key findings, recommended actions? Fine. So you went ahead and asked it to give you bullet points and recommended actions along with the key findings, and this is pretty much. So you see, this is exactly what happened. Rather than going from a very generic one, it went ahead and gave you much better the trends that you asked for. And this is where you went ahead and asked that two sentence executive summary, then growth opportunities, revenue risk, underperforming segments, and three recommended actions. That's it, and that is what it gave you. So what you're doing is, again, just to reiterate, the role, the audience, the data, the constraints, the output, and the task. These are a couple of things which you combine together to make a much better and a structured prompt. So this is what we have over here, that prompt quality determines the output quality. We just saw that. Structured prompts reduce iteration cycles. Yes, you don't need to go ahead and keep on iterating to get a result. The five ingredients are your of your professional toolkit are task, context, role, constraints, and the output format. Now, this is learnable and a transferable skill, guys. It is completely, you can learn this, you can go ahead and transfer anywhere. You don't have to learn any programming language as such. Uh, and yes, the productivity gap is real and it is growing. So the sooner you learn it, the better. And prompt engineering is not all about AI. It is how you communicate with the AI tool. Okay. Now, this is just an initial icebreaker for prompt engineering. We would be covering a lot of things going ahead, uh, where we would be talking about structured prompts, what is a professional prompt design and the structures we should be using, what are the prompt frameworks. Uh, then we'll try to go ahead and discuss certain videos on AI assisted analytics, AI assisted coding, advanced reasoning techniques, AI agents, rack systems, and enterprise AI workflows. So keep following and keep watching. If you did like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and keep learning. Thank you.